Hello gamers, this is Kyle with GameFreaks365. Today we're going to be looking at a new city builder of sorts called Planetbase. It's an indie game that lets you build a colony on other planets. I wanted to show a bit of how the game works and offer my first impressions. So with that said, let's get right into it. So one of the first things that you're going to do is select the planet that you're going to build a colony on. And to start the game off, you only have one planet to choose from. There are three altogether. The first one is a very Mars-like planet. It's rocky, it's dusty, it's also red. But here we have our colonists landing. This is how things start out. You start as if humans had never landed on the planet before. You are the first explorers, and it's your job to actually make a hospitable place for them to live. So, one of the first things that we will do is go in here and build an oxygen generator, since that is a pretty important part of surviving on a planet where there is not much oxygen. All these little astronauts and the, well, not the robots, but the astronauts obviously require oxygen. And if you click on them, it'll show you how much oxygen they have, how much food they have, and other physical needs that are required. Alright, so connections. You need to make sure that all the structures that you build are connected to each other, or some are outside only, like the solar panel. Some, like the oxygen generator and the dining hall, are interior only buildings. So what we're doing now is building an airlock so that we can safely get inside our habitable living space. And you notice there's this little red icon above the building. It's telling us that we don't have any water. So that will be probably our next priority, if I can find it. And there we go, water extractor. So we'll connect that to the solar panels to make sure all of our utilities are connected to the grid. You just need to make sure that a connection exists between the living space and any outlying structures. We're not playing the tutorial. This is the actual campaign mode, or whatever you want to call it. And they give you these nice little tips to try to, help you along the way as you're playing the game. So this is telling us that every part of the grid is going to use power. And resource management obviously is a huge part of space colonization, and that's really emphasized in this game. Building all these things takes a good amount of time. So if it's really critical that you need to build something, you're going to have to prioritize what you want built first. And just to start off, when you get on a new planet, you need to only build the essentials first. The oxygen generator, the water extractor, and of course a power source. can also speed up how fast the game goes, so that things get built a little faster. Well, I was telling us that we have a bunch of resources on our spaceship, but eventually we're going to run out of those resources. So we're going to have to come up with new resources that we mine and build our own. And I'm building this wind turbine as fast as I can because it's nighttime and obviously there's no solar power. And we're out of energy, which means that we would be out of oxygen. Yeah, this is not good. Our astronauts have died from asphyxiation. All your colonists are now dead. Alright. That's a good way to start off a video. Well, that's how easy it is to die in this game. And honestly, there's not a whole lot of margin for error if humans ever did go to Mars. You know, they're rolling the dice and you have to make the best decisions possible the first time. It's not a job for the faint of heart, that's for sure. And any wrong decisions potentially can be catastrophic, so this game and the fact that I botched that first attempt are a good example of that. So we'll try this again. This time, well, we're going to stick with oxygen generator. That's the most important thing. And we'll build a little faster since we're going to run out of sunlight relatively fast. But we'll stick with solar panel because that is a very reliable source of energy during the day. The wind turbines, obviously it varies based off of wind speed at any given time. But what I'm going to do now is build a place to store energy. Basically a very large battery. Maybe it should have been sponsored by Elon Musk and the guys at Tesla. They just announced a home battery storage device that will allow people to live completely off the grid for relatively cheap. Build our airlock now. We already have a reliable source of energy since we have our power storage. We're in a lot better shape than we were just a minute ago. This is my first time playing through the game, which is why it's a first impressions video. So I'm still getting used to how all this works. I did play the tutorial before going into this, so I have a basic understanding of how the game is supposed to work. But the mechanics are pretty straightforward. That always provides some good context if you're wondering how the game works and just need a little bit of help along the way. Okay, so what we do is when you build these rooms, so you'll select a place where you want to build it. Right now we're building basically a dining hall. But once you select where you build it, then you select another building. And there's a little link there, and that's how you connect the two buildings, and they'll have a pathway that connects the two so that it's all one ecosystem. And it's all airlocked so that obviously your astronauts are breathing oxygen and in a more controlled environment. So here we can select some different interior items. I'm going to put a water fountain and a table. I'm also going to put a meal maker so that they can prepare meals and eat in a fairly comfortable environment. This other room over here, the dorm, I'm going to put a bed, bunk bed actually. You'll notice that all of the astronauts are pretty sleepy. They'll take turns using the bunk bed. With this few number of colonists, you can probably get away with using one for now. Well, we survived day one. It's a good start. It's a much better start than the first time and all the colonists died. But it's a learning experience, and you'll get the hang of it as you go along. One thing that I want to do is make sure that we don't run out of resources, so you can place a mine at the base of a mountain, and they can start extracting ore from that. But you have to be somewhat close to your outlying buildings in order for it to appear, for you to be able to construct it. Apparently we're not close enough yet, so we'll have to keep building outwards. I don't think I'm going to build a bar. At least not yet. Okay, so the next thing. We have our oxygen generator. We have a dining hall. We have dorms. We have an airlock, energy, and water extractor. Obviously, we have a finite number of things that we brought. We have a finite amount of food that we brought. The next thing that I am building is a place where we can grow our own food. So here's your chance for all of you wannabe Matt Damons out there, which is the biodome. Apparently it's done constructing. First I'm going to build a windmill because the energy is depleting, as you can see. Now that the sun's gone down. It's doing so fairly rapidly. I don't want to suffer the same fate as our first playthrough. Alright, it's slowly going back up. So you definitely will want to monitor resources. Energy is a big one, since that is what powers the oxygen generator. And without that, everyone's going to die. The water extractor, I haven't had any problems with water consumption so far. Alright, so they give you a number of different plants that you can grow. Start with some tomatoes. Also grow some onions. And how about some potatoes? That sounds good. Now, they can also use the food for other purposes than just eating. The starchy foods can be used to help to build plastics. So it's going to be up to you whether you want to use your resources for things like medical supplies, plastic, metal, and that kind of stuff. Anyway, I think I've given you a pretty good idea of what this game is all about. Clearly there's a lot more to it than just what you've seen in this video, and I'm looking forward to playing more of it, but I'll hold off on making any definitive judgments for now, at least until I put out a review in the weeks ahead. But it's definitely an interesting concept. Check out the GameFreaks365.com website, and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more first impressions videos, reviews, and gaming news.